Welcome to BattleCast, a bi-weekly podcast where we discuss all things gaming, Battlefield, Fortnite, etc. I'm Rev DMQ here with Lunds Ice Cool, The Juan, and JD Belcher 98. You guys want to say what's up?
Yo, what's up?
Yeah. How's it going, guys?
We appreciate you tuning into this episode. Today, we're kicking things off. Our very first episode, we are going to be talking about Battlefield 5's Battle Royale, Firestorm. This is an important conversation about the future development of Battlefield. So, let's jump right in.
Cue the intro.
We want to talk today about Battlefield 5, the state of Battlefield 5, and Firestorm as it relates to kind of the overall wellness and longevity of Battlefield 5. And so let's start this conversation off with the state of Battlefield 5 and why Battlefield Battle Royale, Firestorm, needs to be a great game mode for the franchise and for the life of Battlefield 5. So feel free to jump in, guys. What do you think is the state of BFV right now?
I mean, one of the most important things that we can see in kind of our Twitter community we've got going is how important we all think RSP is right now. And I've had a little discussion today with some guys on Twitter, and they've all been interested in the possibility of the Battle Royale Firestorm stuff financing the rental server program kind of side of things.
Oh, interesting.
Because potentially, if Firestorm does do well and it does take off, that could lead to, it could be the financial side leading into developing the rental server program and getting that going.
Because Dimitri said there's a financial issue.
Exactly.
There's a financial circumstance related to RSP.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
They want this ROI to, obviously be positive because EA at the end of the day is a company and they're not just going to feed stuff out for the, for the hell of it.
Right.
So I think Firestorm could really have a profound impact on the rental server program side of stuff.
Now, there's been a lot of frustration about Battlefield 5, right? Like, Battlefield 5's release has not been stellar, but that's kind of par for the course for Battlefield. And the day that we're recording this, they've just launched a new patch, which is good. Like, a lot of changes to Battlefield with today's patch. But I don't know, Juan, Dave, can you guys speak to the status of Battlefield 5 and kind of Firestorm's place in the status of the game?
So before I give my opinion, I need to say that as a game changer, I need to say that my opinions are my own.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, I feel like Battlefield 5 is getting better now, but it started at this Battlefield 4 point. It was kind of a shit show, for lack of a better word. And it's getting better, but right now the game is holding on to the core audience, like the hardcores. It's not bringing in new people. You know what I mean? And just overall with Battlefield in the past few years, it's like I was telling you guys, I feel in some ways it's a big stagnant. You know what I mean? Because it's not bringing in new players. It's not bringing in younger players. The audience for Battlefield is much older. So I think with Firestorm, if Firestorm was done correctly, it can bring an influx of younger people and newer players, which is all good for Battlefield.
Right.
Yeah, and I watched Jack Fragg's latest video this morning, and basically he interviews random people and random servers in Battlefield 5, asking them various questions about the game. And one of the things that comes up the most about what they feel is lacking in Battlefield 5 is content. And whether you agree with that or not, there's a sense among the community, or at least among certain sectors of the community, that Battlefield is starting to become a little boring and repetitive already. So I think that just giving a fresh injection of new content, of something that's completely kind of off the wall, hopefully, can really bring life to the game as a whole, I hope.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been plenty of new content, new weapons and all that stuff. It's just not the right type of content. You know what I mean? Like, we want new maps. I love certain maps of Battlefield. You guys know I dislike Hamada, but that's beyond the point. we need new maps. Because I'm starting to get to the point of like, dude, how many times can I play Narvik? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Well, and so I think all of that speaks to kind of what I see as an issue with the status of Battlefield 5 and potentially an issue with Firestorm is that I wrestled to know what the vision of the game was, from like an organizational point of view and from a development point of view. I'm obviously not a developer. I don't work at DICE. I've never developed a video game. But when it comes to organizational leadership, it feels like there's a lack of cohesion among the decision makers at DICE. Like, I think back to when they first made the announcement, Mr. Battlefield made the announcement that there was going to be Battle Royale. Royale, right? We all remember that cringeworthy moment. And it was kind of like, wait, really? Or what? And then the trailer with these outlandish skins and like the prosthetic, and then the backlash of the community in response to that. And DICE said, well, it doesn't matter what you think, we're going to develop the game we want to develop. And then when the game came out, it wasn't what we saw in the trailer. And so it kind of feels like they did cater to the vocal minority. And so it just feels like there's kind of a lack of vision. And I feel like there needs to be cohesion and vision. And I feel like they're getting there with the Tides of War. They're getting there. And maybe that's just a part of the development of the game overall. But Firestorm, I think it needs to be awesome because of, I think the stress that the game has experienced is because of that lack of vision. And I personally think that Firestorm has the opportunity to bring some of that cohesion together and to bring the community together. And Juan, what you were saying, to bring new gamers to the franchise and to bring younger gamers to the franchise, which Battlefield really needs an injection of life and young gamers. And so I think given the confusing status of the vision, Firestorm has an opportunity to really bring that to the title.
I mean, I'm just concerned about the fact that Firestorm could just be a little bit of a kind of product extension strategy where Firestorm's going to be really cool. People are going to love it for, maybe a month, maybe longer, maybe 2, maybe 3. And then it could just kind of die down. And it's not going to be this kind of developing process. I mean, I'd love to see DICE take the vision they had with the Battlefield 4, where they had this community created map and stuff like that. If they did something like that with Firestorm and, they kept iterating it and, moving things on really quickly, and as Fortnite is doing, because that's who they're competing against,
Which I think they could do with Criterion, right? Like, with having a completely different development team, that's an opportunity there.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying, that's where Firestorm needs to be a smashing success. If it is a smashing success, it'll give it longevity because people will go to it. There's a lot of people looking for a new type of Battle Royale. Battle Royale is hot right now, and it's a very fun type of game mode. And people are looking for something new. And if Firestorm can bring something new, but not strafing too much away from what Battle Royale is, I think it could be a hit. And that will bring in new people.
Which brings us to the next point, which is what makes a good Battle Royale. Like, we have Fortnite, we have PUBG, we have Realm Royale, we have Blackout. There have been a bunch of weird, quirky, smaller ones that have popped up. Everybody's hopping in the BR game mode because it's fun. Let's be honest. Like, we all play it. We play Fortnite.
Yeah.
Like, we enjoy it. But what are the components of a good Battle Royale that Criterion and DICE need to bring into this game mode?
For a Battle Royale game to be good, the number one thing is that it needs to be fun.
Yeah,
that's across the board. Like, if the Battle Royale is not fun, it's not gonna be good. That's one of the reasons why I stopped playing PUBG, because PUBG for me it was a little too sweaty, too many bugs.
Try hard.
Yeah, too try hard. So I just stopped. But to this day, I still play Fortnite and I still play Blackout, and I love it because they're fun.
I think PUBG was going for a little bit more of a different strategy, though. They wanted a game that was, a little bit more realistic, a little bit more, military simulator kind of vibe, rather than Fortnite's
armor, right?
very. Yeah, I mean, very. Fortnite's got a very distinct and obvious, defined style of being fun, colorful, definitely
Cartoony.
appealing to the younger kind of demographic. But I think
It's
Firestorm
memes,
is
right.
it's yeah, exactly. But Firestorm, I think, is going to be more mature. It's going to go towards Battlefield's core audience, which is, let's be honest, above the age of 25. I mean, Fortnite is everyone 25 and below. PUBG, all these games, H1Z1, they go for that middle kind of age. Maybe a few younger, a few older, but Battlefield is definitely, it's an older audience. The player base is not, the majority are above 18, above 25 even. I mean, there are people who've been there from the start, from 2142, Bad Company 2, all those, that's quite a few years ago now. I mean, we hate to think about it, but it really is.
Right.
But look at Blackout, though. Blackout, like Call of Duty was suffering from the same thing. Their audience was getting a little stagnant.
Advanced Warfare killed them, right?
Yeah, Advanced Warfare just killed them, and then Infinity Warfare was even worse. But with Blackout, they got everybody excited, and there's a ton of people playing it, even younger people that are new to COD.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I left Call of Duty at Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. I played them, but when the Black Ops, versions came, I just lost interest from it. It wasn't my thing anymore. It was too jumpy around.
Right.
It was exoskeleton suits. It just wasn't. It wasn't a Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare that I wanted. It wasn't a shooter game. It was a jumpy and flying crap.
Which I
That's what
think
it was.
part of the reason Blackout works is that they've stripped all of that, and they made it gunplay oriented, and the Storm is it pushes you, but it's not overwhelming. Like, you can outrun it, so you're really not playing the Storm. You're playing the enemy, and that's one of the downfalls, I think, of Fortnite, is that the storm can be more damaging to you than an enemy. Which,
and let's not forget to mention zombies.
Yeah, I mean, the zombies. Blackout incorporated zombies way better, I think, than Fortnite did. Which Fortnite, it's a limited time, I get it, but in Blackout, you can go to the zombie area if you want to, but they're not just going to pop up out of nowhere and start taking you out. You have the option to go there for loot.
Yeah, the way they did it was great. And
right.
for Blackout, like, it's fun, and at the end of the day, it, who wins is who has the best skill, like
best strategy,
knowing the map and all that stuff.
Best communication, the best rotation. So I think Firestorm needs to make sure that you're playing the enemy, not the storm, and not the map.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
That was my issue when they announced that
objectives.
Firestorm is going to have objectives within the game.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I want a BR experience, and I want it to be new and fresh, but I don't want to play Conquest within a BR map. You know what I mean?
Need to be able to win. If they're going to have those objectives, in my mind, you have to be able to win the round without doing them.
Exactly.
Like, those can be optional things, like zombies in Blackout. Like, you can do it if you want to, but the advantage is not going to be so massive that you have to in order to win.
Yeah, because the difference with zombies and Fortnite is that they actually distract from gameplay.
Yes,
so much so that you can easily get rushed by someone and never hear them coming because the audio from the zombies is so loud. And I can see the same kind of thing happening with objectives, where you're focusing on doing an objective and then you just easily get wiped out by an enemy squad.
And it takes away from the gameplay of the enemy.
Yeah. And so I think that, going back to the original question, one other thing that's really important about a Battle Royale is maintaining a sense of sort of intensity through the whole match.
Yes.
That's one thing that the Fortnite Storm kind of does, because it pushes you so much, you have to keep moving.
So it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, exactly. But, if there are plenty of matches of PUBG that I've played where you drop, you loot up, and you can loot a whole area and go almost 10 minutes without ever seeing anybody at all. And it's so, I'm sorry, but it's so freaking boring to just loot. Yeah. So I think one thing that will be important for Firestorm is how they can really jumpstart the match with intensity right away and maintain it through, I guess, if it's a moving fire, every circle, whatever.
Yeah.
However they're going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I've just thought about is having the circle as a mechanic of the game where, you have a set area where you can drop, and then once everyone's dropped to that area, then the whole map opens out, and the next circle can be somewhere completely different. I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to be another, you're playing the circle then, not the enemy players. That could come into that kind of factor. It could, conflict that a little bit. But I think that might be something they could try. I mean, because we got the problem of, solos, duos, and squads. Battlefield's Firestorm is going to be squads. That's what we've heard.
So
are there going to be solos and duos?
As we know.
We don't know. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing a solo match, perhaps limit that to one area of the game because it's only 64. There's not 100 people.
Yeah, but
so
the
map is going to be equal size roughly, which I'm guessing they'll do because PUBG is a similar size to Fortnite. They're all around the similar kind of size map. So if they would limit it to some area, if there's less people, I don't know. It might kind of keep the intensity going, throughout, so it's consistent across the whole game, not just early, middle, and late game. We're trying to avoid those changes.
Right.
True, but so far we know nothing about it. As far as we know, it's only going to be squad 64 players. It's not going to be 100 players. We have no idea.
Is that good or bad?
I don't like it.
Okay, let's talk about that one.
I mean, because that's the size of a large conquest match that brings nothing new to the table.
You're talking about 64-man rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not at all. And
you think it should be 100?
Yeah.
Okay.
And having squads only, look, man, sometimes I may want to play solos. Sometimes I may want to play duos. Like, not all the time I'm going to want to play with other people, especially if they're randoms.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen how it is playing with randoms on Fortnite, and I'll tell you, sometimes it's a complete laugh, and sometimes it's a complete nightmare.
Right.
So if you only have that option now, you're going to be trying to, fill a 4-man squad. I'm assuming it's 4 because that's what we got in Battlefield 5. You're going to try and assume you're going to get some decent players. It's just never going to happen. You're always going to be up in limbo of, I hope I get some good players this game,
And sometimes you just want to practice. Like, you want to practice using a particular weapon or trying a different mechanic or a new strategy, which I'll do that in solos before I do that in a squad.
Exactly, or getting to learn what the map is like.
Right. And so to me, I feel like if they're not gonna incorporate all three, then you need solos in my mind. I just think you have to have solos for practice and for testing things out.
Yeah, and I think that Alex's point really has to be underlined. Think about how bad medics are in Battlefield 5 right now. How much everyone hates the fact that it's impossible to get ammo. And it has been that way for a long time. But then you throw yourself into a random squad with 3 other guys who might not have mics, or gals, who might not have mics. And if they do, they might be 12-year-olds shouting.
Right.
Not highly likely. It's not going to be as much as Fortnite, like we were talking about earlier. It's an older audience. But still, very few people actually turn their mics on if they have them. And this is it's a game mode that's all about communication.
Exactly.
So I think that it can be a really terrible thing to play with randoms. Sometimes you get lucky and your squad is excellent. Everyone's playing the objective, they're communicating, but that's a rare thing in Battlefield.
Now I think that being a BR, there's potential for more communication because you can still get squatted up with 6-year-olds, but my experience on Fortnite and Blackout has been more that there are more people communicating in those games than they are in a standard game of Conquest. In my experience, just because they're familiar. Yeah, just because they're familiar with the Battle Royale mode, and so there could be more people communicating, generally speaking, in a Battle Royale than they would be in a Conquest. It's not a guarantee, but there's potential there. But again, that doesn't change the fact that I think we need to have some solos and duos, personally.
Yeah.
Now, Juan, you were talking about the 64-man rounds. You think it needs to be 100?
Yeah.
I'm okay to try 64-man, partly because of what Dave said earlier about the mid-game. Like, having 64-man rounds, would that eliminate kind of the mid-game lull that we experience? Because in most Battle Royales, you jump in the first 5 minutes, it goes from 100 to 50.
Right.
And like in battle, like in Fortnite, unless you jump at tilted or retail or something, chances are it's not the mid round that's slow; it's the first half of the game.
Yeah.
And so 64, if it's a smaller map, it could mean that you just don't have the slow start like you would in Fortnite or Blackout.
I
So
mean,
I'm okay.
but then this added stuff, like, they're gonna have a tank and like only 64 players, and in the first few they're gonna be quick rounds, because that first drop, like, a lot of people tend to die, and then somebody lands on a tank and he takes out 12 people. You know what I mean? Because
That's gonna be such a meme, man. Can you imagine landing somewhere and you see this tank rolling through and you're sitting there with your pistol and a pack of bandages like, oh shit, what do I do now, you know?
just imagine, as a squad, we drop into whatever zone in Firestorm, and the first thing we see is a dude that dropped on a tank. We have nothing, but he has a tank, and now we're back into the spawn, the spawn thing.
Back into the lobby.
Yeah, back into the lobby. That's horrible.
Yeah.
It could make for some great, awesome players, though. Like, some fun stuff. Can you imagine just your whole squad running away from this tank? Like, oh, guys, run! I think it
Right.
you could have these really intense, funny moments. I mean, of course, it's massively unbalanced, and it's kind of a little
It
bit
could-
unfair if there's a tank straight away and you're not in it.
Now they could have battle
that's,
pickups.
That's life, That's it.
There could be battle pickups like in Battlefield 4. So if there's a tank on the map, could there also be a bazooka that you could pick up?
I would
would
hope
be-
so. I hope
That'd
there
be
are
like-
counters somewhere on the map.
Well,
That's
that-
one of those special
that
weapons
goes
with
with
the
the-
triangle on it, right? Or the star.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
if you're gonna have a pickup of a tank, you could have a team of medics that can't do anything against a tank. The argument could be that, well, you should have someone in your squad load in as assault. Sure, but I think if the tank is a pickup, then you have to have a battle pickup that could counter that tank, like a bazooka.
That's a really good point.
Well, we still don't know how they're going to work this. I remember reading somewhere that they are working on a looting system. And so I assume there will be floor loot.
Yeah, right.
We don't know yet if like you can spawn in as assault with weapons at all, which is a kind of an interesting question that I've seen a lot of people discussing, whether you should have a pistol, some starting weapon when you drop. I don't.
God, no.
Yeah.
Can you pick up a class from the ground? Like, do you spawn in as a blank canvas and you pick up a medic kit, a support kit or something
Yeah.
like that, and that defines
Which-
who you are for the rest of the game? Or
Do you guys think they're
can
gonna
then
have
switch
kits?
up halfway through?
I think
don't
looting
know.
should be randomized.
No kits. One.
I'd like to see kits.
Like, I like to see kids as for the look, but like, as far as like, yeah, you're a medic, but you can only pick up medic stuff. Nah.
Well, what if you could only pick up medic gadgets, but you could pick up any primary?
Yeah.
Mm.
Interesting.
By primary,
like-
so you could have a long range. You can choose whether you're long range, medium range, or short range.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you have a medic kit. Well, I mean, it's like in Battlefield 5 right now, in the main game mode, you can be a medic, but when you pick up a weapon, you don't pick up that whole kit. You pick up the primary weapon. So you can be a medic running an STG if you kill someone with an STG.
That could be something that's linking back to Firestorm.
So to me, I think that's a precursor to what we're going to see in Firestorm, where you have a general kit, but you can pick up an alternative primary weapon. So you could be a medic with an LMG or an MMG or a sniper rifle if you pick it up on the ground or from a dead player. But that when if you pick up a gadget or something, you're going to be picking up med pouches or a med crate or a specific type of gadget relative to your kit, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Also,
no, that does make sense. That'll be good.
I worry a little bit about kits being. I think one of the problems in past games is like there are certain metas that define how the game should be played, and DICE was exploring this with incursions, and they were trying out different kinds of kits there that were interesting. I think some of them were actually really quite interesting, but they're trying to avoid the Battlefield 3 thing of medic trains where everyone plays assault and has access to defibs and bandages or medkits. I think it would be interesting to see how they do it. It's all speculation at this point, but I would just worry about that kind of meta taking over where everyone's playing the same thing and it becomes monotonous.
Exactly. So that's why I think the classes should be aesthetic only.
Completely open to whatever, just like
exactly
like in Blackout.
Exactly.
I mean, you can look at how Fortnite's doing it with updates at the moment, because they have something called the Vault, which is where there's a set amount of weapons there's a certain set of weapons in the game, and then they can vault, which means take a couple of them out or take some out of the vault and put them back in the game. So they're always changing up the arsenal you have. Right. And I think that really stops you from hunking down on one set up and just rolling that every time and getting really good at it. Because you've always got to change, what's in, like, what can I use this week? What is there available for me to choose from as my loadout?
That's a great point.
Battlefield's really going to have to make sure they have these, bi-weekly updates or monthly updates at least,
Which I will say
to keep the game up to date and just keep it going. Because one thing we've seen from Fortnite's success, because let's face it, they are the leaders in this area, is you need completely relevant, up to date, content there. I mean, right now, if the Super Bowl's coming up or something like that, or whatever it is, NFL skins, they're all going back to the Fortnite's store, item shop, because that's happening in real life. They're linking back to current things, which is what people love. Right. So I think if, Criterion Games or DICE or EA, whoever's gonna set this update timeline out, they really need to consider these things about how are they gonna keep stuff relevant and fresh, because it's gonna be the same map, it's the same concept. I mean, things change around in the normal Battlefield. You have different maps, all that kind of stuff, different game modes. You don't have that with Royales. What keeps it fresh is by changing out the map, having new things going on, and these challenges and stuff.
Which
they really need to focus on that.
There's a good sign for that right now. Today, they updated Panzerstorm.
They did. I haven't played it, but really
I've not played it, but massive updates to the map in response to community feedback, which to me is like, okay, if they can do that with the base game of Battlefield 5, that's a promising aspect of the live service. And if they can incorporate that in Firestorm, that will be huge, because they can keep the game. Again, Fortnite, the map changes every season. There's a new development in the map and these in-game moments that people want to watch. They want to be in the game for those moments. And if Battlefield, if the developers can change Panzerstorm right now, what could they do with Firestorm later on?
Exactly, because it keeps it fresh. You know what I mean? Like, I've been playing Fortnite since Season 4, and it's the same map, but they keep on changing it, keep on doing new stuff. And I'm not sick of the map. Every time, every so often, every few weeks, there's something new. It keeps it fresh. It keeps people excited.
So,
and Belcher, as to your point that you were saying before about having people drop in with a handgun, I think that would be a mistake, because it takes.
They have a pickaxe in Fortnite.
True,
have a handgun in Battlefield.
But it takes
or the knife.
It takes the randomness away from the game. I would be good with a knife, but not with a handgun. Imagine some ninja type character knows the map extremely good, drops in with a handgun, and drops 6 people at the beginning of the round.
Stotty spawns in with his revolver.
Right. Rips everyone. Yeah, so seriously, everyone needs to drop in with a bipoded C100 knife. That would be perfect.
So we've talked about the map and the transition that needs to happen, but I want to just ask, what does the map need to be made up of? Maybe this is the last point we can have on our podcast, this first podcast. But I know, Dave, you and I have talked about what does the map need to be made up. Jack Frags had that video where he did a mock-up of the map, which to me was just please.
I know.
Yeah, a mashup of all the Battlefields.
Can I just say, as someone who's only played Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, and I'm ranked 50 on Battlefield 4, and I kind of got an idea about it. But someone who's only experienced those 2 and a bit Battlefields, that looks amazing. It looks crazy.
So as a veteran of Battlefield, I've played Battlefield since Battlefield 1942. Like I played every iteration except for 2142 and Bad Company 1. But other than that, I've played every iteration, every title.
Did you
And
play Heroes as well?
I did play Heroes. And I like the geezer in me, the nostalgia factor is strong.
Yeah, me too.
And so part of me is I don't want them to limit it to World War II personally. Like
Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna, based on the trailers and stuff we've seen, but I would love to see if they're gonna limit it to World War II, then do the maps. Do the maps of Battlefield 3 and 4 and Bad Company. I'd love to see moments or geography from those old maps brought into this large map.
Or
Yeah.
just familiar places from World War II, like, one of the coast can be D-Day, like a replica, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It should
So
have...
the more well-known World War II places.
Yeah, it can have a forest, and it can be like where the Battle of the Bulge was fought, that kind of thing.
Dave,
I
what do
mean,
you think
one
about the
thing-
map?
Yeah, I completely agree. When I saw Jack Fragg's video, I was blown away by what could be. um, I think the chances of anything like that happening are pretty low. I mean, probably
Yeah.
the map was already not finalized, but at a really late state by the time he made that video.
Right.
So, maybe the developers saw it and were like, oh, that's a really cool idea. But I just think that, what COD did with Blackout is so ingenious. It's the same basic idea of sort of giving little pieces of nostalgia, like you were mentioning, that are so strong with this particular community. This community is made up of mostly, like the real core of the community is made up of people who've played most of the games. And I think it would be really powerful to have that in the game. But
Exactly, so they do have Nuketown and places like
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly.
And I think like it's not bad to replicate what others have done well.
Yeah,
It just with a Battlefield twist. You don't have to do something brand spanking new.
Yeah,
Like,
there ain't no
take
shame in
elements. Take
I mean, if-
elements from other successful titles.
Exactly. At first sight, I mean, what's the one from Call of Duty called? I've forgotten the name of it.
Blackout?
Blackout. There you go. Blackout. It's such a clear kind of imitation of PUBG. I mean, you fly in, you glide out, you got your parachute. I mean, just a quick first glance, it does look very similar. Now, I think it worked. That's why they went and took it. So I
Yeah.
think if Battlefield does the same thing, they look at what's happened. I don't think people are going to have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I've thought about is that Panzerstorm is a basis little snippet of the Firestorm map. I mean,
I've
it looks
wondered
like
that too.
it's it's got a nice wide open spaces. It's got different little populated areas. I just really think that could be the kind of style and kind of vibe that you get from the Firestorm map.
Is that why they're updating Panzerstorm?
Could be. That's what I've thought about. But,
Maybe.
I mean, there's lots of tanks there as well. We've thought about what are the pros and cons of tanks. Well, we've seen how they can adjust the map to make it more fair. I mean, they've added much more cover, different buildings, the oak roads and stuff like that with the trees on either side.
Yeah.
I really do think Panzerstorm could be something that's we're going to see more of in the future.
I think whatever they do, the map is like really important. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to see it every time you drop in, and you're going to play it just to learn every crevice of the map.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it needs to be something that's really like special.
Map and gunplay, which I think Battlefield 5's gunplay is the best gunplay in my mind that of any title. Like that's why I
Without
keep
a
coming
doubt.
back.
Yeah.
That's why I keep coming back is for the guns. And so I think honestly, I think Battlefield's Royale has opportunity to be the best Royale there is. I'm biased because I'm a Battlefield vet, but I also think their gunplay and the makeup, the mechanics, Frostbite engine, all of that has opportunity to make Battlefield's Firestorm just the best BR. So
And real quick, going back
Yep.
to Luntz's point,
bring it home, Juan.
I just think, I don't know, I'm positive about it. I may not sound like it most of the time, but that little snippet that we got for Firestorm, with the tractor, it lets me know they're going for fun.
Goofy, fun, meme.
Yeah,
They're going for the tractor factor. I've seen that on. I did a poll earlier today asking about what people want to see, and I put 2 options down. It was like fun factor or squad, like teamwork factor, and there's every comment was you should have put tractor factor, and I was like,
That's awesome.
oh no, I missed it.
And while
It highlights the fun stuff that people want,
and Blackout did copy PUBG, but they made it their own.
They made it their
You know
own.
what I mean? And that's what I think Battlefield 5 should do. They shouldn't stray too much away from the BR formula, because then it's going to make it something else.
Right.
I think it should be the BR formula, but with the Battlefield twist, and that'll be amazing.
Yeah, I think these are all really, really valid points and important parts of the formula for what's going to make a successful Battle Royale. So, Juan, Dave, Alex, man, really fun to chat with you guys about this. This is the first episode of a new podcast. We are shooting to be a bi-weekly podcast. We're still getting a lot of the direction and vision for what this podcast will be. But we just wanted to get some content out there. We just wanted to get it started. So let us know what you think about this conversation. I mean, tweet to us, leave comments on the podcast and on the video of this about what you think Firestorm needs and the state of Battlefield 5. And if you like this content, then follow us on Twitter and share it. That will go a long way to really support this new podcast. Share this on your social media, whatever it might be. And we'd love to be able to have a dialogue with you all about Battlefield and other games going forward, because this podcast will not be only about Battlefield, but that will probably be a major point of conversation for the podcast. So feel free to give us a like, a share. That would go a huge way to supporting this new podcast. Juan?
And after listening to it, please rate and review. That helps out a lot.
Yep.
In the metrics of everything, and just tell us what you think. We want to make a good product. We want to make it better. And this is just the first episode, and I think it'll be getting better from here on.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Later.
Ciao.
Peace.
Hey guys, thanks for joining into this week's episode of BattleCast. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like. If you didn't, drop a dislike. Follow the socials, they're all down below or listed somewhere in there. Have a look. You know your way around. And we hope to see you next week. Ciao.